Well, it's that time of year again for us here in Paris to wrap up warm and wrap up the shows of 2010. We've come to the Carnival Museum here in Paris for a joyful look back at the best of health. Hello and welcome. Well, we're going to start with a story that took place in January, the World Winter Transplant Games. The competition are a demonstration of the physical success of transplant surgery and a bid to raise awareness of the need for donors. From the US, Owen told us his story. Dawn breaks over the alpine village of Sainte-Foy. As soon as the sun is up, so is Owen APPLEQUIST. It's competition day. Day starts with a healthy breakfast and his daily cocktail of drugs. Immunosuppressants designed to help his body keep the kidney he had transplanted.
When I first had my transplant 14 years ago, I was on 600 milligrams of medication 4 times a day. Now I'm on 75 milligrams of medication twice a day.
1, go!
Feeling healthy and fit today, he takes to the slopes. But barely has he begun and Owen stumbles. However, he doesn't give up.
As soon as I realized I was still in the course, I was like, I'm finishing this. There's no way I'm not finishing this.
Owen says determination was always part of his personality, as was being sporty, something that the transplant hasn't altered at all.
The only real precaution I was given when I first had the transplant was to make sure I didn't play any full contact sports, and if I did play any contact sports, to try to protect or pad the transplanted organ.
For all of the participants at these games, having a transplant does not signify a handicap, but the gift of life, which they want to live to the fullest.
Well, I'm lucky. I had a liver transplant in Cambridge 4 years ago, and I've come here to celebrate the success of being able to do something active post-transplant. I keep my donor's gift of life well and happy.
Sub-minute, that's my goal. Under a minute.
While the competitive side of the games is taken lightly, participating in them is a way of highlighting the importance of organ donations. And the sport in itself, doctors say, can only be of benefit.
It appears that those who do lots of sport and who have a serious readaptation program will use less medication.
As the day draws to a close, the competitors gather for the awards ceremony. No hard feelings. Owen films the men who took his place on the podium. Alive and healthy, everyone here is a winner. Well, last October, a health put medicinal marijuana under the microscope, travelling to the Netherlands, where the government controls the production of the purest form of cannabis to be used by patients around the country. We went to see if inhaling cannabinoids could do us more harm or good when in pain. Behind closed doors in a room without windows, this crop of cannabis is kept hidden. Only a few specific varieties are chosen on the basis of their chemical compounds or cannabinoids. The difference between this and what's sold for recreational purposes is its purity. Apart from the light, everything these plants are given is natural.
We don't use any pesticides here, we don't use any additional chemicals to fertilize the plant whatsoever. The plant is just growing here, and when they are big enough, they go to what we call the other side, and there we start flowering, the flowering procedure.
It's the flowers that contain the active ingredients. In roughly 20 weeks, they are dried and ready to be sent to patients. For medicinal cannabis, putting it in tea or inhaling it slowly are the recommended methods.
The product goes into the lungs. The lung is a very large surface, so it's very easy for the cannabinoids, the chemical compounds, to go from there into the bloodstream. There's no barrier there. It can travel fast.
Gijs has chosen to smoke his prescription. He's been taking medicinal cannabis for 5 years now to help relieve the jerking caused by his MS. Burning cannabis changes the compounds and so isn't the ideal means of administration, as it increases the side effects.
I'm the same as everyone else. When I smoke cannabis, I feel a bit stoned, but the jerking in my legs stop. That's why I accept to be in such a state. It allows me to sleep.
The amount that should be given is difficult to decide, and even in the Netherlands, many doctors remain reluctant to prescribe it, except as a last resort. To date, around 800 out of the 17 million Dutch are on it.
Cannabis is not in the normal guidelines. It's not in the MS guideline, not in the neuropathy guideline, not in the cancer guideline. And doctors prescribe from guidelines when it's not working, when the patient used all these other alternatives. That's the moment when you can prescribe medicinal cannabis.
It's been available in the Netherlands since 2003 and is produced under the control of the Health Ministry, which wanted to make sure patients were taking a clean cannabis and didn't have to go to the Dutch coffee shops for their pain relief. And finally, when you're allergic to the world, this year we met some bubble babies born without any immune system whatsoever. Even the tiniest of microbes can be lethal for them. But recent research gives hope that a cure may be on the horizon. Playing in a pool would have been unthinkable for this 3-year-old a few months back. Born with a severe combined immunodeficiency, Matthijs didn't produce white blood cells, meaning that every move in his young life had to be measured.
We decided to invest in a swimming pool because we figured that while he might not be able to go to the beach, it might still allow him to play in the water.
Matthijs is a bubble baby. He spent months and months living in a sterile space to protect him from the outside world and its germs. His parents had to wear gloves to help him take his first steps.
It's tough on the parent, and it was for me as a mom to not be able to touch your child. It's really very difficult.
Today, Matthijs can play with his brother in the sand, and he's getting ready to go to school in September. His improvements come after a successful bone marrow transplant from his mother. But not all bubble babies find a donor that's the right match, which is why doctors are trying to find other treatments. Gene therapy is starting to show promise.
10 years ago, in 1999, we started an innovative treatment, gene therapy, based on a transfer of genes into patient cells. We introduce a normal copy of the damaged gene into the cell.
Out of the 9 children who took part in this trial treatment, 7 have been fully cured. However, this option does substantially increase the risk of leukemia. And while doctors say this can still be easier to treat, the search is on to find a more secure solution. Well, that brings us to the end of the best of 2010. I hope you swing happily into the new year, and we'll see you then.